There comes a time in life when your silence will speak louder than your words, when your absence will be noticed more than your presence ever was. And that, my friends, is the moment you begin to raise your value. We live in a world that constantly tells us to be visible, to post, to prove, to perform. But very few realize that true power lies not in being seen, but in being missed. This speech is not about arrogance. It's about awareness of your worth, your time, and your energy. So if you've ever felt ignored, taken for granted, or undervalued, stay with me till the end, because today you'll understand how distance, discipline, and dignity can quietly turn the tables in your favor. 1, self-worth is not measured by attention. Attention is the cheapest currency in the modern world. People give it freely, take it back instantly, and yet we've made it the yardstick of our worth. But here's the truth. You do not need attention to validate your value. Gold doesn't need noise to shine. The ocean doesn't need approval to be vast. And you don't need constant recognition to be important. When you stop chasing attention, you start attracting respect, because the one who is comfortable in silence commands it. 2, the power of absence. Sometimes stepping away is not a sign of weakness. It's a declaration of worth. Absence has a strange way of teaching presence its value. When you stop making yourself too available, people realize the cost of losing your energy. And that's when appreciation begins to grow. Not from your noise, but from your absence. So take a pause. Let them wonder where you went. In that wondering, they'll remember what you brought. 3, silence speaks loudly in a noisy world. Silence is a luxury. When everyone is shouting to be heard, the calm voice is the one people lean in to listen to. Your silence doesn't mean defeat. It means mastery. You no longer need to argue, explain, or prove your worth. You let your results speak instead. Raise your value by doing quietly what others boast loudly about. 4, growth in isolation. Isolation is not loneliness, it's training. When you step back from distractions, you step closer to clarity. You learn, you rebuild, you evolve. And when you return, you are not the same person. You are refined, focused, and unshakable. Use your solitude as a workshop for greatness. Because diamonds are never polished in the crowd, they are shaped in the dark. 5, raise your value by refinement, not reaction. You don't raise your value by reacting to everyone. You raise it by refining yourself, your thoughts, your behavior, your boundaries. Let them talk. Let them guess. Let them miss you. You don't owe the world explanations. You owe yourself elevation. Remember, the day you stop trying to be noticed is the day you truly become valuable. Conclusion, emotional close. So step back, breathe, grow silently. Because when you return with calm strength and quiet confidence, the world will not just see you, it will feel your absence and respect your presence. Let them miss you. Raise your value. There's a quiet kind of power in knowing your worth even when no one is watching. Most people spend their entire lives chasing recognition. They want likes, applause, validation, and words of approval to feel seen. But the truth is, attention is not the same as value. Attention is temporary. Value is permanent. Attention fades when the novelty wears off, but value grows with time, maturity, and purpose. When you begin to understand this difference, you stop chasing people's eyes and start working on your own vision. In our world today, everything seems to revolve around being noticed. We are taught to speak louder, post more, and make sure everyone knows what we're doing. But in that endless performance, we slowly lose the essence of who we are. The real question is, what happens when the lights go off, when no one claps, when no one texts or calls? Do you still believe you matter? Because that moment defines your self-worth more than any applause ever could. The truth is, the person who depends on others to feel valuable will always be tired. You cannot build peace on borrowed validation. When your sense of worth is controlled by how others see you, you become a puppet pulled by invisible strings. One compliment lifts you up, one criticism breaks you down. You spend your energy trying to please everyone, and in doing so, you slowly forget who you are. But the moment you decide to break free from that cycle, the moment you tell yourself, I am enough even if no one notices, that's when your power begins. Think about gold for a moment. Gold doesn't need to shout to prove its worth. It doesn't sparkle under every light or beg to be polished. Its value exists even when it's buried deep underground. The same goes for you. You don't need to constantly display your qualities for others to believe you're valuable. Your worth exists within you, in your character, your effort, your honesty, and your resilience. What others see or fail to see doesn't change that truth. When you stop craving attention, something amazing happens. You gain control over your peace. You stop reacting to every opinion, every comment, every comparison. You stop trying to fit into rooms that don't respect your presence. You begin to walk with quiet confidence, not because you think you're better sometimes. Stepping away is not an act of weakness, but the boldest declaration of self-worth you can make. The power of absence is one of the most misunderstood truths in life. We often believe that to maintain relationships, friendships, or attention, we must always be present, always available, always responding, always showing up. But what if being everywhere is the very thing that makes people stop valuing you? What if your constant presence turns your worth into something ordinary, something easily ignored? Human nature is fascinating. We rarely value what we have in abundance. When something is always there, it blends into the background of our lives. The sunrise is beautiful, but how many of us truly pause to watch it each morning? Water is essential, yet we don't appreciate it until the tap runs dry. The same rule applies to people. When you are constantly around, constantly saying yes, constantly giving, others begin to take your time, your love, and your energy for granted. It's not because they are bad. It's simply how the human mind works. Abundance dulls appreciation. Rarity creates value. That's where the power of absence comes in. Stepping away does not mean disappearing forever. It means allowing distance to remind others of your worth. When you step back, you give people space to notice the void your presence used to fill. You allow them to see what life feels like without your voice, your support, your energy. And that realization can be more powerful than 1,000 conversations. Sometimes silence teaches louder than words ever could. Absence also helps you see who truly values you. When you pull away for a while, the people who genuinely care will reach out, they'll notice, they'll miss you. The ones who only stayed for convenience will fade away quietly. It can be painful to see who stays and who doesn't, but it's also freeing. You stop wasting time on people who don't deserve your consistency. You start giving your attention to those who reciprocate your presence with gratitude, not entitlement. There's another layer to absence. It gives you perspective. When you are constantly involved in the noise of the world, you forget what your own voice sounds like. You lose touch with your intuition, your purpose, your dreams. But when you step back from people, from distractions, from endless scrolling and talking, you reconnect with yourself. In silence, you hear your thoughts clearly. You begin to understand what truly matters to you, not what the world tells you should matter. In those quiet moments, you grow. You heal from exhaustion that you didn't even realize was weighing you down. You recharge emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. Absence becomes your sanctuary. a space where you rebuild your energy, your boundaries, and your peace. Then when you return, you come back stronger, calmer, and more centered. The world will feel that difference, even if you don't announce it. So never fear stepping away. You are not losing relevance. You are reclaiming respect. The people who truly value you will never forget your worth. Your absence will only make them appreciate it more. And those who don't, let them drift away. Your silence will speak volumes, saying what your words never could. I know my value, even when I am not seen. In a world where everyone is speaking, shouting, and competing to be heard, silence has become a rare and powerful language. We have been conditioned to believe that being loud means being strong, that constant talking equals confidence, and that expressing every thought shows intelligence. But in truth, silence often carries more strength than noise ever can. The ability to stay calm, composed, and quiet in moments when others are desperate to prove a point is a mark of true power and emotional maturity. Silence doesn't mean weakness. It means mastery over your emotions, your reactions, and your need for validation. There is wisdom in silence. The person who listens more and speaks less often understands life far better than the one who talks constantly. When you are silent, you hear more, not just the words people say, but the intentions behind them. You begin to notice details that others miss, the tone, the hesitation, the emotion. Silence gives you the power to observe before you act, to think before you speak, and to decide before you react. That kind of awareness protects you from unnecessary conflict and helps you make choices from strength rather than impulse. Silence also reveals character. When someone insults you or tries to provoke you, it's easy to lash out, to respond immediately, to defend your pride, but it takes real courage to remain calm and composed, to let your peace speak louder than your anger. Your silence in those moments doesn't mean you're defeated. It means you refuse to lower your value to meet someone else's chaos. The one who can stay silent in a storm has already won half the battle. When you're alone, there is no one to impress, no one to compete with, and no one to distract you. There is only you, your thoughts, your fears, your dreams, and your truth. And it's in those moments that you begin to understand what truly matters. Isolation gives you a mirror that the world cannot provide. It shows you your weaknesses, but it also reveals your strengths. It makes you face the parts of yourself you've been running from, and it challenges you to rebuild from within. Great things are built in silence. The strongest trees grow roots underground long before anyone ever sees their branches touch the sky. The same is true for you. When you spend time alone, learning, improving, healing, you're growing roots of strength that no one can see yet. People may think you're being quiet, but what they don't realize is that your silence is preparing you for something greater. The foundation of every strong person is built during the time when no one was watching. Isolation also helps you detox from the expectations of others. We live in a world that constantly tells us what to be, how to look, how to think, what to want. The voices around us are loud, and if we're not careful, we begin to mistake them for our own. When you pull away from that noise, even for a short while, you begin to hear your inner voice again. You remember what you truly want, not what you were told to want. That clarity is priceless, and it can only be found in solitude. Spending time alone also teaches you emotional independence. You stop relying on others to make you feel complete. You realize that peace is not something people give you. It's something you create for yourself. And once you learn to enjoy your own company, loneliness loses its power over you. You stop fearing silence because silence becomes your friend, a space where you think deeply, dream clearly, and heal fully. Isolation can be uncomfortable at first. It might feel empty or even painful, especially if you've spent most of your life surrounded by people. But remember, discomfort is often a sign of growth. The seed must be buried in darkness before it can rise toward the light. In the same way, your moments of solitude are preparing you to rise, stronger, wiser, and more focused than before. And when you finally return to the world after spending time in isolation, you return transformed. The same noise that once distracted you will no longer have control over you. The same opinions that once shook your confidence will barely touch your peace. Because in isolation, you didn't just find yourself, you built yourself. You refined your purpose, sharpened your discipline, and strengthened your spirit. So don't fear isolation. Use it. Use it as a tool to rebuild your energy, to realign your goals, to rediscover your focus. Let the world wonder where you went while you quietly prepare for what's next. Remember, diamonds are never formed in crowds. They are created under pressure, in silence, away from sight. When you understand that, you'll stop chasing company and start cherishing solitude. Because it's in those quiet, unseen moments that you become someone the world can no longer ignore. You don't raise your value by reacting to everything and everyone around you. You raise it by refining yourself, your character, your mindset, and your peace. Many people spend their energy proving themselves to others, defending every rumor, explaining every decision, and trying to control how the world sees them. But here's the truth. The more you react, the more you give away your power. Real strength is silent, steady, and self-assured. You do not need to fight every battle or respond to every voice. Instead, you learn to choose your silence, polish your craft, and let your growth speak for itself. That is how you raise your value, through refinement, not reaction. When you stop reacting, you start evolving. Reaction is emotional. Refinement is intentional. Every time you respond impulsively to criticism, gossip, or negativity, you drain your energy. You hand control of your emotions to others. But when you practice restraint, when you choose calmness over chaos, you begin to stand apart from the crowd. The world respects people who remain composed when everyone else is losing control. The ability to stay grounded in the middle of noise shows that you have mastered not others, but yourself. Refinement is not about pretending to be perfect. It's about constantly improving who you are. It's a daily process of polishing your thoughts, your words, and your habits until they align with your highest values. Just like a sculptor patiently shapes stone into art, you shape yourself through discipline and self-awareness. Every time you choose growth over gossip, learning over laziness, and purpose over popularity, you raise your value silently. You may not see immediate results, but with time, people begin to notice your transformation, not because you demanded their attention, but because your presence starts to carry quiet power. One of the most important lessons in life is that not everyone deserves your reaction. Some people only provoke you to distract you. Some situations are designed to drain you. You don't need to explain your worth to those who have already decided to misunderstand you. Let them think what they want. Let them talk. Let them doubt. Because while they waste time discussing you, you'll be busy improving yourself. And when you finally show up, stronger, wiser, calmer, your progress will answer every question they ever had about you. Raising your value is not about arrogance. It's about awareness. It's about understanding that your time, your peace, and your energy are sacred. You cannot grow if you give those things away too cheaply. So you set boundaries. You learn to walk away from people who drain you and from environments that no longer help you evolve. You realize that saying no isn't rude, it's responsible. Every time you protect your energy, you are investing in your future self. The most refined people are not loud or boastful. They move with quiet confidence. They let their work speak instead of their words. They don't seek validation, they seek progress. When you master that mindset, you stop chasing attention and start attracting respect. People will begin to sense your calmness, your focus, your dignity, and they'll know that you're different. They might not always say it out loud, but they'll feel it. Your energy will speak for you. The process of refinement can be lonely because not everyone understands it. While others are busy proving themselves, you're busy improving yourself. While they chase the spotlight, you're perfecting your foundation, and that's okay. Greatness often grows in silence. The tree doesn't make noise while it's growing roots. It only stands tall once the foundation is strong. The same will happen with you. Keep working quietly. Keep refining your purpose. Let your results make the noise. So the next time someone doubts you or provokes you, don't react, refine. Every insult can become fuel. Every challenge can become training. Every setback can become a lesson. The difference between the ordinary and the extraordinary is how they use pressure. Ordinary people react. Extraordinary people refine. In the end, your value will not rise because of what you say or how loudly you say it. It will rise because of the consistency, grace, and calm power you build within yourself. When you stop living to prove your worth and start living to improve it, the world notices, not because you demanded attention, but because your quiet strength becomes impossible to ignore. That's the beauty of refinement. It doesn't ask for recognition, it naturally earns it.